Hey everybody, welcome to the Truly Myrtle podcast. I am Libby and it is lovely to see you this morning. I am down in New Zealand and it is it's really sunny. It's not really sunny, it's like moderately sunny, but it's actually cold. It's like, I think it's snowing somewhere. It's definitely started snowing places because it's been icy cold. I'm enjoying myself immensely. Let me just see all your chats. This is a live podcast. I go out live on YouTube and Facebook this time, which if you're watching later, you won't know what this time is, but it's 10 o'clock New Zealand time every Thursday morning. If you want a reminder when I'm going live, you can sign up to my mini mag and just go to trulymyrtle.com/mini mag, jump on my mini mag list, and I will send you a reminder about an hour before I go live. I had an email last week from someone who said, I get it on Wednesday, and then by the time I think what she meant was it was just confusing about when I was going live. And so what I've changed that little email so it says I'm going live in about an hour, because I think you all get it at the same time. I'm pretty sure you do. But it's sent out at my time about 50 minutes before I go live, and it says join me, and I give you a couple of links, and you can choose YouTube or you can choose Facebook. Facebook is here. Yeah, sometimes Facebook absolutely packs out on me, but today they're here. So it's nice to see you all. It's a lovely day in Northern California. It's hot in Northern California. A few people from Northern California. It's 102. You're not sure what it is in Celsius. I've showed you the good trick about I've showed you before the good trick about, hang on, where is the calculator? It's the calculator. If you go to the calculator, and if you go to the calculator on your phone, I'm imagining it works with all the phones. If you go to the calculator on the phone and you click at the bottom, the little calculator there, click that, and it comes up with the different things. Basic, scientific, maths, convert. Click convert, and then see at the top, you can choose different things to convert. But if I put in 102 Fahrenheit, because mine happily is already on Fahrenheit thing, look, 38 degrees Celsius. That is really hot. That is unbearably hot to me. 102. There we are. So that's how you do it if you want to have it's just helpful. All sorts of things if you want to do inches to centimeters, meters to yards. It's great for all sorts of things. It's a lovely day in Wellington. It's a lovely day in Canterbury. It's deceptively warm. It's sunny outside, but you're inside with the heat pump on. It's still winter. Can you hear my stairs? They are literally right outside the window. I wonder if I could show you. Should I show you? Oh, I don't know if I can show you without unplugging. Oh, so annoying. I'm going to knock everything over. Right there is a big black face. Actually, there's two of them, probably three of them, looking at me in the window. Because they can hear me in here, and they're saying, give us some more hay, like that, because the grass is hopeless at the moment. Hi from sunny Montana. Nice to see you, Pamela, joining me live. It's lovely to see everybody. Chilly in Rangiora, hot and steamy in Florida. Look, I just, I'm not actually looking forward to being hot and steamy all summer, but I do, look, someone said sun, sand, cloud. Oh my gosh, thunderstorms this afternoon in Vancouver Island. Oh, look, it's crazy, isn't it? You learned something new, Cowl. Yes, I don't know where I learned that. I think one of my kids showed me. I can't remember. They know everything, don't you? Yes, it's a phone calculator. Exactly. I think it's on the iPad. I'm sure it's on your Samsungs as well for all of those people who use those. Okay. I've got a new pattern to show you today. I have two new patterns to show you. Before we begin, anybody who is in Wardrobe Toolbox, if you were in season, I'm not sure how far ago, but even if you weren't, this couple of patterns are in your library. For those of you who were in, I think it was about season, I don't know, it was not last year, not maybe the year before, I put it out as a hat. And I told everybody how to make the cowl, and I've actually put them together, and they're both together in the set. It is in your library. If you were in for that season, it's just waiting for you there, the new updated pattern. If you weren't part of Wardrobe Toolbox for that season, you're going to get the best discount in there. Photos of our stairs. Yeah, look, he's actually licking the window. There must be a way I can show you. Hang on, let me just see if I can. I just moved. That's my microphone's gone over there now. So look, there he is. Can you see him? Right there. There's a couple of them there. There's the little one. He's just looking at me through the window. It's a really grubby window because they keep licking the window. It's disgusting, the window, but they're right there. This is an old garage. I'm in a garage, and so we're right. I can see his little eyes are looking over. Anyway, that's just life out here. It's crazy with the stairs. Okay, yeah, wardrobe toolbox. You can grab the pattern in there, and yeah, anyway, just know that you've got it. So please don't buy it again from the mini mag. But the rest of you, if you want to jump on my mini mag list, mini mag, /mini mag, I will send you a discount code for this pattern and you will get it tomorrow. So it's a good price actually, because I've put the two patterns together and I'm pricing them as a shawl. So it's a hat and a cowl set. I'll show you a picture. I'll show you them in a minute. It's Maya is the name, Maya set. So originally it was just the hat, but now it has a matching cowl, and I'm wearing the same jersey. I thought I'd wear that jersey today. This is such a cozy jersey I made with Brooklyn tweed. This is Serpentine. I love this jersey. I'll just tell you about the jersey. Look, it has these great stripes that go all the way down and go into the sleeve. I made it with Brooklyn tweed shelter, so it's a woolen spun and it's really light. It's really light but really, really warm. And Claire's saying Maya is in season 7. The buying option isn't working at the moment. Sorry about that. The buying option will be working in a minute, but our lady who helps us with the website is fixing it. Okay, so yes, this is Serpentine, and she's one of those ones where you knit the shoulder piece, like it's quite long, the shoulder piece, and then you knit the other shoulder piece, and then you join them together at the back, and you do some short rows to give us that drop. See how it's got this drop like that? And so you can see to the bottom of the sleeve that drop there. That's what you do with the short rows, and you do the same at the front. You pick it up on the other side for the front, and you do the same. You shape the neck. It's just got a kind of a boat neck, and just a really simple finish. I didn't think it needed anything too messy, too busy up there. And then you knit down, and then you join it under the arms, and then you come back later. I think you come back later and you graft it under here. That's how you do it, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember. And then you come down and it's got a split at the bottom with this lovely twisted rib. But you pick up the cuffs later, and you see, if you pick them up just so, you can have that just flowing nicely in there. Anyway, she's been one of those jumpers that I just love wearing because she's quite roomy. See how she's got quite a bit of room in her, and she's so light. I love this woolen spun. Rachel's chasing her tail doing orders. Yay. Jennifer's got the same view out her kitchen window. Oh, that's really nice. They're gone now. They've obviously given up on me giving them any straw. Hey, is this pattern a good choice for a medium level knitter? This one, I think so. I think the things to, this is already out, this is Serpentine. The thing to practice with this one is you'll be picking up stitches on a reverse stockinette. That's the hardest thing in this pattern, to make it look tidy. But otherwise you knit it inside out. So hang on, how do I get you to do it? Because you do the tops flat, and then I think when you join in the round I get you to flip it in the other way, and you just do knitting all the way around rather than purling all the way around. So that's that solved. But making this, I practiced this just so I had a really nice pickup along that edge. And I think one of the things I think is a good trick for that is have a look in the back of your work, and you will see the knitted stitches. And as long as you're sticking your needle in from the wrong side, which is actually the right side on this, into the middle of one of those knitted stitches on the right side, then you're hitting the right spot rather than going into old places. I sort of flip my work over and have a look. I do that when I'm picking up around all sorts of things. When I'm picking up, if I have a reverse stockinette, I just check that it's like that on the other side, and I'm going straight through the hole. Okay, so that probably is. So Serpentine, I wore that in the little photo. And then this pattern is Maya. This is easy peasy. I've actually put this little set here as a 1. I have my balls of difficulty, and I've put this as a 1. This is not hard. You can do this. You can do this in your eyes shut, in the middle of the night. You'll be fine. So she started off as a little hat. I'll show it to you. I'll put her on my head. to give her a bit of an oomph out because, wool wants to scooch up. I did a rolled brim. I've got a couple of options for a rolled brim and not a rolled brim. Look, I just love this little hat. She's just a cute little, I don't know, would you call her a toque? You Canadian people, would you call her that? But she's so cute, and she has a little pattern, and see, roll brim. So I can just fold it up like that. And she's so cozy and warm around the brim. I do like a brim. So I've given you an option just with no brim and casting on, and then I get you to change needles for the brim if you're going to fold it, so that makes it work. And then she goes with this same pattern, which is easy to see on this here, this little pattern for the simplest little cowl. This is what I taught the wardrobe toolboxes. This is what we learned, how to take the pattern from here and turn it into a cowl. But I thought, I might as well just write it up for you. That'd be easy. So she's a little tube cowl. You knit her in the round. You only have to work out your gauge once, because for the hat, that works for the cowl. And I did mine in 2 colours because I thought that'd be nice to have it not quite the same, but the same, like a set, but not quite the same. So I'm pretty keen on it. It's actually a bit warm. But yeah, and I just pulled it together tightly at the top. So she's got a nice gathered top. She's easy. She's lovely and easy. And I'll talk you through some of the things I use just to give her a nice finish. But first, shall we talk about some yarn? So that's her. She'll be out. Just make sure you're on my mini mag list. She'll be out. I'll make it live later today. But if you want a discount on my website or on Ravelry, make sure you're on my mini mag list, and I'll give you a code to use for a discount. For yarn, now I used Truly Myrtle yarn. I use these 2, Truly Myrtle yarns, and you can't get them anymore. And that doesn't matter, because I'm going to tell you a bunch of other yarns that you can get, and that will work beautifully well instead. So I can't see your comments. Let me just have a little look. It's so nice and easy to knit, says Lisa. Yeah, it's really good. I just got all my testers to do it again with the new yarn, because originally I put it out in a Malabrigo. I think it was a Malabrigo, and I've just swapped it up. You definitely need to swatch knitting and purling in the round to make sure you get the same gauge. Always. I mean, always. I think if you're thinking about this sweater, if you're going to do a swatch for this sweater, you'll want to swatch flat, knitting on one side and purling on the other, and then you'll want to swatch in the round, but that's only knits, because you lose your purls, and then your purls might be a bit looser, and so then your knitting suddenly gets tighter. But in this one, swatch that little pattern. Swatch the pattern. I'll show you in a second the chart. There's charts and written in here. Oh, hi Sarah. First time you've caught me live. Nice. Will I be producing the yarn again? I won't, Lisa, because it's all sold. The mill it's all sold. So that mill is not now going to be, it's all moving to Christchurch, and so that's not going to happen. I don't think I'll be producing the yarn again. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Skeins are going to keep. Well, Skeins are still going, and so Skeins will still have the yarn that I used, which is the base. But I don't think that I have not got any current plans to do any more again at the moment. It's a huge outlay, and it's a different arrangement that I would have, so it ends up being probably not financially possible for me to do it. But anyway, this is what I did do, because I had some yarn, a base they had called Southlander. This is Skeins. I'm going to show you some in a second. And I designed a bunch of colours. I think I ended up with about 10 or 11 colours. And these were 2 of my colours. And this was Bliss and this is Grace. And so I used those 2 for this pattern. But you will see that these ones have sort of got a mottliness to them, little bit of speckle all the way through them, because I held them with a mohair, and it wasn't this one because I've used it all, but it's like I held them with a speckly mohair to make a thicker yarn, and that gave it the speckleness on top. So yeah, Wild Earth, they haven't bought Skeins. Wild Earth have not bought Skeins. They have bought design spun equipment. That's what's happened. There's a mill continuing. Yeah, so Design Spun in Christchurch, who make some beautiful yarn, and they do a lot of like a woolen spun or semi-woolen. They have bought the machinery, and it's being moved down to Christchurch, including the dyeing stuff. And but Skeins is actually separate from Design Spun, the mill. Skeins is still going. It's still going to be in Napier. It's still separate. But that's my understanding anyway. Okay, so we'll go back to the yarn quickly. But I use these two. They're a sport weight yarn. You could probably sub in a fingering if you wanted, but these are a sport weight, and the ones I'm going to show you are more or less a good sub for a sport weight. And so you'll see they're plain, but I added the speckle. Now, if you wanted to avoid holding yarns together and you don't like mohair or alpaca or anything that gives you a bit of fluff, like I have for this, it's got a lovely halo on it. If you don't want that, then just use a yarn that gives you the gauge that you need in the pattern, one yarn, and you'll probably get away with, I'd say, a worsted yarn, a thick, plump, really plump DK. So I have said the gauge is 18 stitches and 29 rounds per 4 inches or 10 centimeters. So that is a really good, that's a solid worsted. It's quite an open gauge for a finer DK. So steer up towards a worsted, maybe even like a light Aran, but go for that. That gauge will give you the size that is in the pattern, and if you don't get that gauge, then you're going to get a different sized hat or cowl, and that might be fine because you can work out what your size is going to be. So that's where I started, plain yarn and pretty mohair thrown over the top. I used the same mohair for both of them, so that sort of ties them together a little bit. It brings them closer together in terms of, you know, the shades and the family. And so that's an option for you, plain yarn and mohair. Now, if you won't be able to get hold of this, some of you might still have some in your stash. This is the sport weight, okay? So some of you might still have that floating around because from when I did sell it. But you could, if you wanted exactly the same yarn. And one of the nice things about this yarn, it softens up a lot when you add the mohair. It becomes quite squishy. But this is a... it's like, this is a wool hat. That's what you want to say. This is wool. This will keep you warm. It's that kind of vibe about it. It is actually reasonably soft, the Southlander. I think it used to be quite scratchy. It's not now. It's reasonably soft by itself. Actually, this is particularly soft by itself. So just as the sheep have changed over the years, I guess, the sheep that they're getting hold of, the fleece, but it softens up even more. But it's wool. This is not superwash. This is a non-superwash, old school wool farm yarn is the way I described it. I love it. I absolutely love it. And my original ones look like this with the blue label, and you can see it said Southlander. Now that is the base that I put the colors. This was my happiness color, but that's the base that I put the colors onto. And so you can get Southlander yarn. You can still get it in a wide range of colors. And I think you can still get some of these. I actually don't have any Southlander yarn here because I think my daughter's got it all. But this one is some of the Highlander feathers they put out. What you're looking for is the 5-ply sport. I will put a link to this on the show notes that I put with this replay on my blog, and I'll make sure there's a link so you can see exactly. So this is New Zealand based. You'll have to get it from New Zealand. And to be honest, it's actually a jolly good price. So even if you've got to pay the postage, and even if you have to pay, I don't even know what's happening with those tariffs. I think New Zealand's getting something like 15%. But even if you have to pay that, I think you might find it's still an excellent price. But so that is their Highlander Heathers. I adore this one. Look at all the colours in that. So many colours already. So you could put that together with a plainer mohair because that already has so much variation in it. Mostly the Southlander colours are just a solid colour, but they've got this Heathers range, which I think is still around, which are just beautifully motley. Now I had a little look on what I did was I actually went to Yarnsub, and I'll put links to a lot of these in my podcast. Oh, you think Southland is on sale at the moment, or this weekend, Denise? Oh, there we go. They've just emailed to say Highlander Heathers are on sale. Look, this is like, I didn't even tell them. This is perfect timing. I meant to tell them. I meant to ask them if they'd give us a discount. I totally forgot. But that one, look, there's some absolutely beautiful colours in this. There's a blue colour about this colour. There's this. There's a burgundy. I think there's a grey. I can't remember. It looks to me like they swept all my beautiful colours off the floor and they put them all into these. That's what it looks like to me, because I can see courage and bliss in there. Those stunning colours. So if you liked my colours, I think you're going to enjoy these. They're very They're reminiscent of the ones that I did. They really are so lovely. So that's on sale, $7.95 a ball, 100-gram balls. You'll need one. You'll need probably one for each. If you do smaller size of the hat and you shaved a bit off your cowl, maybe you'd get them out of one ball, but I'd be tempted just to buy two. And because I weighed these this morning and they're roughly 75 grams each. Now they do contain the mohair, but the mohair is going to be virtually nothing, right? It's so light. So they are probably, well, that maybe you'd get it out of one. You'll be pretty close to the full ball. It was actually cheaper to get quality yarns shipped to Canada from Europe than getting them here in Canada. The shipping is very good. See if it's the same now. Oh, that's interesting, Connie. Yeah, it's worth just checking it out and just seeing if it's a good deal. But skeins is a good deal. So that is the first option for other yarn. Skeins, Southlander, 5-ply. Okay, or sport weight. That is the first option. I had a little look. I found some others. Harrisville Designs do something called Flywheel, and that's actually not a bad price. It's $13, but it's only 50 grams. So you might want to get two, unless you're doing the smallest hat. But that looked quite nice. That is an excellent match for Southlander, according to Yarnsub. And it's a lighter sport weight version of their Watershed line, they're saying. It's a medium spun yarn. It's light, sturdy, extremely wearable, and there's kind of tweedy, beautiful tweedy. And they've got I printed it off. They've got a whole range of colours there. So Flywheel is from Harrisville Designs. That could be another option, assuming I found it online. Look, you can still buy it. So that one is a good option. Some other options that were suggested, I've got this one here, Daughter of a Shepherd, the Ram Jam Sport. That said it was about a 91% match. It was a good match. The gauge is an exact match to the Southlander, so this one, that you should always swatch. It's non-superwash. The fibre content is exactly the same, so it's wool, good proper wool. It's a 2-ply, and it's a woolen spun. So actually this would be beautiful. It's Daughter of a Shepherd Ram Jam Sport is that one. The yarn is less dense, so the fabric was going to be a bit lighter. I thought that would be quite nice. The yarn comes in 169 meter balls. Now this is a good solid 200, but you'll be fine with just one ball of 169. The yarn is undyed. Well, that looks dyed in the picture, but it's undyed. So if you want a beautiful natural one, and then you're going to throw, because it's going to be undyed, it might be a little bit motley, but you could throw some really pretty mohair over the top and just pull out some interesting things. So that was another one. Dyed in the Wool from Spin Cycle, which I do actually have a skein of that. I've got a few of these. This was a good match. The gauge is exactly, the fibre content is similar, but this is a superwash. I didn't think it was superwash, but it says it is. Okay, well, there we are. Oh, yes, it does say superwashed. 100% American wool, Spin Cycle. So that one, I mean, this is way on the pricey end. Way on the pricey end. So we're talking about a different kind of set if you're going to make it with this. It is small, and so you're going to need 1.6 of these to make the same amount as these originals. So you will need 2 of these skeins to make one of the pieces, one of the hat or one of the cowl. The thing about this is, I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. It's just so deliciously soft. We all know it knits up incredibly well. You could also use your hand spun if you can make yarn like this. But with all of those colours in it, you don't need a busy mohair, I don't think, over the top. So this is not the colour you would choose, although maybe it is. So you would use something plain, I think, for your mohair over the top, or your alpaca, or whatever lace weight that you put with it, so that this sings and this just blends. This works to blend all the colours. In fact, that could be an interesting combination, couldn't it? Because this would dull all of these colours slightly and just blend them together. It would be I think it would be quite a dynamic, sort of dramatic sort of look, those two together. You might lose, because of the ultra busyness of this pattern, you might lose some of the texture. It might disappear into the pattern. So I would definitely swatch. If you have a little scrap of that left, swatch. But that's another option for you. What else have I got here? I've got Chickadee from Quince & Co. They said that was a good match, which would be nice. Someone said they use Rowan felted tweed. Oh, beautiful. And the Lana Gatto silk mohair. So there we are. Rowan felted tweed. That would be a nice match. Brown Sheep do Nature Spun Sport. The gauge is exact. The yarn is smooth, but it's 3 plies. The yarn is less dense. I think that Chickadee will be the same. The yarn is less dense and the fabric's going to be lighter. So it's just a lighter, it'll be a slightly more roomy sort of hat. Remember, because the thicker, the denser the yarn, the more ease it eats into your head. And so it's going to be a little bit looser. The other one it recommended was Cascade Sport 220, which I have got a skein of that in the grey. They said that was a good match. The gauge is in the range. It's made from non-superwash wool. The yarn contains Highland wool. It's similar. I thought this is obviously superwash because it's called... Is it superwash? Maybe it's not. Hang on, you guys all know. Peruvian Highland wool. Oh no, I don't think it is. Don't think it is superwash. It doesn't say superwash. So that would be a nice one, Cascade. The yarn comes in 150 metre balls. I think you'd only need one of these. I'm sure you'd only need one of these to do either the hat or the cowl. I don't think you're going to need two. Oh, this is 200 metres. Maybe mine. Oh, this is 220. Heather's. This might be the thicker one. It looks thicker, doesn't it? This is 200 metres. Okay, no, this is not the right one. But just imagine that it's the Cascade and it's the right one because I've shown you the wrong one. Cascade 220 Sport. I've got Heather's. Okay, so Sport. Then you'd need 150. I reckon you'd get it out of 150 if you did not the largest size. Largest size, maybe you need a smidge more. Of course, if you do the smaller band, you're not going to need as much. So there's that. And then the last one I've got here is the Shopple Wool Edition 3. It's a good match. They said it's one of those curly whirly ones again with lots of colours. Again, just check that you like it with the pattern and the pattern isn't lost in the yarn. But I'll put links to some of those, the ones I think might be good, in with my show notes so that you can have a look. But essentially, you could decide, do you make them both the same or do you make them different? You could make this with not as many, you could make it both narrower by not casting on as many stitches, leave off a few repeats, so it's a really close fitting cowl. Some of my testers did that. Or you could also make it shorter so it just sits under your chin, because mine is, I like the sort of slightly longer around my neck feel, right? So it just is cozy over the top. This is when I went to Dunedin recently that I just wore these to death, these two. I did the photos there, so I was allowed to wear it finally. And I wore those down there. And I have to say, for me personally, having a folded brim is a total winner, because a folded brim is so warm. It's like having one of those headbands around your head. It's just like, you're so warm. You're so totally warm. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Amanda. Late to the party, you say. It's all right. You got busy and got lost track of time. That's absolutely fine. Hi from Sycamore, Illinois. Nice to see you all. Okay, so that is I hope that gives you some yarn ideas. Quite frankly, I think you could go stash diving and see what you've got. And don't forget, we just had Rita recently where we held all these different strands together to make the weight of yarn that we wanted. You could do this for this. You totally could do this for this. You could just, as long as you've got the right amount of yardage, you just make that yarn with lots of different strands until you find something that gives you about 18 stitches per 4 inches or 10 centimeters. You don't have to use the sport and the mohair. You don't have to use just a worsted. You could use a couple of lace weights, throw in a fingering, but you could use a whole lot of stuff together just to see the mottliness. However, don't forget with this one, it has got a textured pattern on it. And if you still want to see the textured pattern, then maybe dial back some of that crazy colors like in here. But it will totally depend on what you like. So you can have a little think about that. Michelle said, I used Naturally Loyal 10 ply for the Maya hat. I was in Auckland for work and the wind was so cold, I went to the yarn store and made the hat overnight. And brilliant. That's exactly. You can just knock them up. These would be great for Christmas presents. And Naturally Loyal, that's a good price too, Michelle. That's actually and it's a nice smooth yarn. So if you have a smoother yarn and you don't add anything woolly or fluffy or mohairy, this pattern is going to absolutely pop. Mine is quite muted, which I really love. I love things a little bit. I love that mutedness of it. But yours, if you don't use a woolly yarn or mohair, yours is going to pop. It'll be really pop. Actually, I should have brought the other one because it did pop in the other one, which it's in my box. Never mind. Wasn't totally prepared for this, obviously. Okay, sizing. I've said here I've got 3 sizes for the hat, just my usuals: small, medium, large. The small will fit most kids, not little babies, but I like them to tie up under the chin anyway with a bonnet or a balaclava anyway. Once they hit about 6, you're good to go, really. They're, 8, their heads don't really change a heck of a lot. So you could get those kids into a small hat. You can decide whether or not you want a rolled brim on that little kid or not. It might be nice just to have a single brim, because I can just imagine what's going to happen, and you'll turn around and your kids, and their brim is there, and there's snotty nose and this brim, and you know what it's like. So I think maybe I'd do a single brim for the little kids, and they get so hot anyway. And then there's medium, which is, I did a medium. So medium is about a 21 to 22 inch head. That's the size it will fit, a head. And don't forget, we make it a little snug so it doesn't come off. So a lot of women are going to find that they have a medium head. Some will have a larger head. And I'd say most men will have a large head. Some will have a medium head. But they're pretty, the larger head is 23 to 24 inches, and the very small one is 19 to 20. But your kind of standard woman's head is 22, roughly. Ruth said she needed a quick gift for a friend and knocked the cowl out in less than 24 hours. Yeah, good stuff. It's good. You can really do it fast. Sharon said, I made a modified Rita for my builder husband by request. Oh, he lives in it at work. Oh, that's so good, Sharon. It's really good to hear. I think quite a few people have made Ritas for the men in their lives, so I'm quite pleased about that. Okay, so the cowl is much the same. But there's one size. There's only one size for the cowl. Okay, so I just give you the numbers to cast on, you get going with the pattern, and then you finish at the top. It is as easy as it sounds. But what you could do, if you want to adjust the size of your cowl, it is so easy, because I have given you a chart and the written instructions for this repeat here, and all you need to do is to cast on that less number of stitches. If you want to make it smaller, or if you want to make it longer, just cast on a multiple of that number in the chart, or for the extra length, and then you can work it out. If your gauge is different, or you want something snugger, or you want a double cowl that you wrap and put around your neck, either is fine. And so it's super easy to change. And you can also, of course, make it shorter. If you don't want it to be as tall, you can just knock off a repeat at the top. So you can have quite a snug little neck warmer if you want. That would be good. So sizing is easy. What you could do when you're choosing a size is just put the tape measure around your head and then go for the size that I've said, because I've actually, unlike most things, I've said to fit head sizes. And so this is all on this page here, which I'll give you in the mini mag as well. So it's to fit head sizes, and you'd go to that part there and to choose your size, and then you could compare it against the finished measurements if you want, but you do want it to be smaller than your actual head. Okay, and mine is medium. I've got a folded brim, but I've said already you can have an unfolded brim. Now, what else am I going to tell you about that? I think that was what I wanted to tell you about that. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the techniques and the pattern, because I'm getting you to do just a couple of little things that you may not have tried, but they're super fun and easy to try. And the first one is for the brim here, right at the bottom, and for the cowl, which I can't tell you which is the bottom and which is the top, but for the brim at the bottom, I used something called an alternate cable cast on, and it actually just is lovely. It looks like it rolls over slightly, but your knits, look, there we go, your knits are knit and your purls are purl, and so when you turn it over, it just looks lovely on both sides when it's folded up. And the alternate cable cast on is, the cable cast on where you knit. A lot of people down at this end of the world, this will be how you learn to cast on. But the cable cast on, you start with a slip knot, and then you go, the first one I often go into the slip knot to make the first one, but technically you go between the stitches, stick your needle between the two stitches, wind your yarn around and pull it out and twist it and put it back on the needle. The knitted cast on, you go into the stitch. We're not doing that. That's a hopeless cast on for this. Don't do that. We're doing an alternate cable cast on, so you go between the stitches. Now, when you're doing an alternate cable cast on, you're going in as if to knit for the knit ones, and you're going in as if to purl for the purl ones, but still between the stitches. So I've said here, you begin with a slip knot, and then you work knit one, purl one, knit one to the end. That's how you do it. You use that cast on for your floozy too. Yeah, good idea. So it's nice and easy. It's the cable cast on is a relatively firm cast on, but it's not crazy. You could try something like a German twister cast on if you want, but you're going to be all knits or all purls unless you alternate them or be all knits. So I like this one, as if you're going to knit the first one and as if you're going to purl the second one, but in between the stitches. Okay. Oh, hi. A New Zealander calling in from a family visit to Portland, Oregon. Oh, I love Portland, Oregon. It's lovely to see you too. Okay, so that's how we started, and we start the hat and the cowl like that. So that could be something just that will give you a little bit of a thought, pause for thought when you're going, but I think you'll be so pleased you do that. And then for the cowl, I get you to use the same cast on, alternate cable cast on, but then when we're binding off, and I told my wardrobe toolboxes this the other day and I got it wrong, but when we're binding off, I'm actually going to get you to do a sewn bind off, which is, look, it's actually almost impossible. I think this is the bind off end. A sewn bind off without the setup rows. So we're not going to split our stitches and then go off into curl them together. We're just going to do the sewn bind off, and it mimics that alternate cast on at the bottom, and so your knits are knit and your purls are purl. It gives you a nice, smooth, beautifully detailed, just a beautiful detail to have at the end, and that way you can't tell which is up and which is down, the same as me, which is rather nice to actually have such a pretty finish. So I've given you here in the pattern, I've given you the details on how to do that bind off with a needle. You leave the tail 3 times the circumference of the ribbing. You could even do it a bit longer if you're worried, and thread the yarn onto your yarn needle, and then I just tell you how to do it. And anyone that's grafted socks, you're going to find this fine. It's the same sort of mechanism as grafting socks, and so it's a nice way to finish. Now, if you have extremely fragile yarn and it does not want to be pulled through, well, I don't know, it might be fine to use extremely fragile yarn for your cowl and for your hat if you're not going to like bash it around. But let's just say you have got extremely fragile yarn and you don't want to pull it through, or it's a pain because you've got lots of strands or something, then you could do smaller lengths. If you have got yarn that you can splice together, splice together, then I would do a shorter length and I'd split splice as I went, and then I would keep it going. So you didn't have masses of yarn to pull through, you just had a short amount of yarn, and then when you get to have about a tail about that, you join the next piece on. I've been doing that a bit lately with some of the yarn I've been using, and I have to say I really like it. But you can't do it with superwash yarn. You can only do it with split splicing, non-superwash, the split splicing. If you have a superwash yarn or something that doesn't felt, then you're going to need to do a Russian join, and it all gets a bit much. But if you're going to be doing that, then you don't have fragile yarn, so maybe you don't have to worry about it. The other thing I would say, just to finally, is we talked earlier about our purls being a bit looser, and we talked about swatching in the round, and these are only knitted in the round, so you'll need to swatch in the round. But I knit my purls for this kind of thing. I always knit my purls Eastern, always, because I just think I get a nice crisp look to my patterning. Because the thing about if your purls are slightly bigger than your knits, or you don't give your purls enough definition, then what happens is the extra yarn that's in that purl creeps back into the knit before it, and then you get that bigger knit stitch. And sometimes in ribbing where you have 2x2 ribbing, one of your strands of knitting looks amazing, and the other one is like bagging out. And I don't know what's happened. What's happened is your purls just crept back into the knit, and it's made that knit a bit baggy. So you could work hard to tighten up those purls, and it would help alleviate some of that. But I just skip that altogether. What I do is I knit as per usual, but I purl by winding my yarn the opposite way around the needle. Please remember that on the following row it will be mounted incorrectly, so that you're going to have to then work into the back loop, not the front loop, on the following row round. But to me, I love it. You actually get into a rhythm of it quite easily, and your fingers just start to know that when the stitches are mounted incorrectly. And you'll also know that when you have an incorrect mounting, that if it's a purl, you just, you do western purl, eastern purl. But I just think it gives you a nice stitch definition, even in these woollier yarns, when you do that. Well, it certainly does for me. So I think it's a great thing to try. I wouldn't start halfway through. I do it for the whole way. Otherwise, you'll notice it. You might have like a line somewhere through the middle. Do you still twist the stitch when casting on? Yeah, you do, Susan. So the cable cast on, you go between the stitches, you loop the yarn, you pull it out, and you give that twist. You sort of do this, and then you put the stitch on the needle. I haven't got a tutorial for it. Have I got a tutorial? I think I have got a tutorial inside Wardrobe Toolbox. I don't think I've got one on my website. One day we will have tutorials for all of these things, but I haven't got them at the moment. But you essentially go in, and then you pull out the yarn, and then you just give it like that and put it on your needle. So practice first just with your regular cable cast on before you start going into trying to do it purl wise. I just practice by doing a few stitches cast on cable with a knit way, and then say, okay, well, if that's how I do it with knit, how am I going to do it with purl? I go in to the back to do it with my purl. And in that case, I wouldn't do my eastern purl. I'd just do my normal purl and then put it on, and then save your eastern purls where you wrap the yarn the wrong way around your needle for when you're actually in the body of your pattern. Definitely for when you're doing your ribbing, if you want your ribbing to be nice and neat. And even when it's done like that, like there's still patches where it's not, it's handmade. It's definitely handmade. Okay, I think that's everything I had to tell you about our Maya set, but I'm really pleased with her. She's one of those, I love a cowl because they're so easy. You just grab and run, and then you're suddenly warm. And I wear this at my desk when I'm cold. I've been wearing shawls a lot lately, actually around my neck too. And my little cowls are so easy just to pop on. I wore we've got a new cowl. We had a new cowl this season in Wardrobe Toolbox called Alchemy Cowl. And I wore that out for dinner the other night. I felt quite fancy. It was just nice, just to finish me off. It was a nice warm outfit. But I've got my hat and my cowl. And I'm really pleased with them both. They're now my new favourites. My new favourite is definitely my new favourite hat, for sure. I love the little pouchy top and everything, and give it a nice little buff out when I put it on, and then it's just a little bit slouchy on my head. Connie says, that is interesting. I would love to see a tutorial on the purl stitches. I'm not sure. I can't remember, Connie, if you're in Wardrobe Toolbox, and I just have this funny feeling that you might be. But if you are, we have got a lesson inside Wardrobe Toolbox called Reading Your Knitting. And the Reading Your Knitting lesson covers all of that sort of stuff. And I think you'll find it super, super helpful. I really enjoyed researching it and putting it together. And it just reminded me of things that I already knew, and I also learned a few new things when I was doing it. So it's one of those great lessons that you kind of don't look at, maybe because it doesn't seem like, I won't even read my knitting. But actually, it's a really, really good one. It's really good. I love a cowl too. Thanks for designing. Oh, thanks, Fiona. Yeah, I love a cowl. Super easy, just nice and quick. You bang it up with something, pretty little yarn. It's got a nice little pattern in it. This is this is a pattern for everybody. Everybody. When I sit here and I talk to you about patterns like this, it's because everybody can get them, Caroline. So at the moment, it will be out. I'll make it live this afternoon. And by the time this video goes up and everybody else can see it in days following, it will be live. It will be on Ravelry, and it will be on Truly Myrtle, my own page. And if you're on my mini mag list, which is trulymyrtle.com/minimag, I will send you a discount code for this pattern, so you can buy it. However, if you are in Wardrobe Toolbox, you might already have it automatically in your library. And if you don't, that's the best place to buy it, because we do great discounts over there. So if you're Wardrobe Toolbox members, look there first. And everybody else, you can sit tight, wait for your mini mag tomorrow, unless you're really desperate and you just want it now. Then I'll make it live in probably a couple of hours. It'll be live, so it's all ready for tomorrow when the mini mag goes out. I think that's everything. And if you're watching this over the weekend, just sit tight, because I'll send a bunch of different emails that will give you the code over the course of the weekend, so you won't miss out. Don't worry. If you're watching this a month from now, sorry. Okay, everybody, I think that's that. I'm now surrounded by beautiful yarn. I had a moment yesterday. I was doing lots of work. I was work. I've got lots of plans coming for you. I've got lots of things to do. It suddenly dawned on me that now till Christmas is my busiest time of the year. And it's quite crazy what I have to do between now and Christmas, because I want to have a little bit of a breather over January. In order to do that, I have to do all the work before. But anyway, and so I sat down, I wrote myself this big, long schedule of everything I have to do, week by week by week. This has to be on your needles. This has to be off your needles. This has to be on your needles. You've got to make this lesson. You've got to do this, blah, blah, blah. And so I did a lot of work yesterday at my computer. I'm not a big fan of working at my computer, but anyway, needs must. And I had to do a lot of it. And I thought, I finished that. And I thought, well, before I go in and make the dinner, I think I'll just have a little play. And so on my ironing board behind you over there, I've got 5 piles of yarn that I've put together. And I'm thinking into next year, I'm like, that'd make a great shawl. That'd be a nice cardi. That'd be a great hat. And I just love doing that. And so I pulled out all these things from my stash and I just made piles. Now, whether they'll actually turn into patterns, I don't know. But right now I'm looking at a couple and thinking, I hadn't even thought about putting those together. They would be great. So over there's lots of promise waiting for me. It's really nice. Yeah, I actually, don't worry, Kim, a V-neck is in the works. So there will be a V-neck coming. I'm very aware of V-necks, but like Elisa said, she's getting colder and she needs extra warmth now. She wears her Viva all the time. I get quite chilly, so I have got a V-neck planned for Wardrobe Toolbox, and but it'll be a lighter weight, not a summer weight, but a lighter weight yarn. So anyway, that's one of the ones I have to do this side of Christmas. So anyway, it's all in the works. Okay, everybody, I will see you same time, same place next week. I'm actually going to not see you in the same place. I think I'm going to see you over there. I think we might have a little just look around my sewing corner. I think I might show you that next week, and we can have a look, because I've got some fabric out and I've been organizing myself with my sewing. So maybe we'll go and sit over there. If I remember, we'll do that. That was my plan. And I know I'm surrounded by beautiful yarn. What a lovely predicament. It is a lovely predicament. Envy that you can knit for work, and as much as I think would be fabulous, no. I know, that's the thing. It would take the joy from it. I have to be very careful that it doesn't take the joy out of it. That is actually, I have to be very careful. For the most part, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I get more stressed about my knitting than I would like to, because if I'm like banging up against a deadline when I know I have to get it done. And it's not that I actually haven't lost the joy for it at all. But I would sometimes I'd like to do more things I didn't have to think about. And so I was actually just knitting and not thinking about it. I blocked that sweater. I'll show you it all to you another time. But I blocked that sweater, the Baystone sweater. I have to photograph it so soon, because I'm so dying to wear that before it gets warm. Oh my gosh, we're going to love that one. I love it. It's going to be it's so nice, that sweater. So that's the one I think I showed you last week and maybe the week before. And that was actually a pleasurable knit. It was a design that kind of just flew off my needles, off my computer and off my needles, and it kind of happened. And so, yeah, I like that. That's good. Those ones. I need to do more like that, I think. On a purl, what happens when you knit continental? Good question, Fernanda. I think that I'm not a continental knitter, but I think I did show you in the lesson in Wardrobe Toolbox. I think you have less problems if you're a continental knitter than if you're an English knitter when you're doing your purls. I think you have less problems, certainly, because you don't there's something about moving the yarn, but I can't remember, Fernanda. We might have to chat about that over in the Hangout and see what we think. Okay, everybody, I'm going to, I'll see you next week. Do lots of knitting. Look out for the email so that you can find the lovely, pretty little set that's coming out for you. And I will see you very soon. All right, everybody. Happy knitting. Bye.